demolitions in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, and this morning we'll get to the heart of the issues surrounding these demolitions that have caused a major uproar in Lagos and beyond. We're joined on the program, as you've seen, by the Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development in the state, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, joins us right here in our Lagos studios. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
You know, the cost of cement these days is what, in the rate of 5,000 or more. And a lot of people, when they heard the Greater Lagos is rising, which is the mantra that Governor Sanwo-Olu used for his re-election, perhaps they didn't imagine that it would mean pulling down some buildings. There have been recent demolitions that have caused not little controversy, both online and, of course, an everyday conversation. Speak to us about why this is happening now.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's not the intention of the government to just demolish buildings. There are guidelines and rules governing demolition of buildings. And for record, buildings that are not done within the confines of the law are subject to demolition. And such includes building on the right-of-way, building on the canal path, building on the gas line routes, and distressed building, which are threats to human lives, and also building outside the confines of the law. So buildings that falls under that are normally subject to demolition.
So speak to us about the data now. How many buildings have been demolished so far, particularly what that data says about the ownership of these buildings, because that's at the heart of this controversy. It has been said, and that is fast gaining momentum, that these buildings particularly belong to people from the southeastern part of the country who have come to do business, to live here in Lagos. And as I said, it is fast gaining momentum, and the fear is that this might even cause a major issue in Lagos. So what does the data say about ownership?
I don't think that's correct. Anybody can own buildings in Lagos, so long as you go along with the laid down rules. It's unfortunate that maybe what we have of recent happens to be within certain parts of the country. The facts are very clear. Those buildings that probably causing all these uproars are buildings that were rushed during the COVID period, where activities of officers were at the low ebb because of restriction on movement. And you could see that when those buildings were actually demolished, nobody has actually come forward to say it was demolished under approval.
Nobody has come forward.
Nobody has come to that. Nobody.
But we've seen people pleading. We've seen people say, well, we put up these buildings based on the approval we got.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So you're talking about the ones in Oyigbo,
not that you have received so far.
No.
Because quite a number of demolitions have been carried out.
Distressed buildings. These are old buildings. They are distressed buildings. The ones in Trade Fair, they don't even have approval at all. The last time we went there, they were even claiming that we don't have right to come into that enclave, which is completely against the law. Because the law is clear, any fiscal development in Lagos State must and shall be approved by the agencies and the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development.
But give us some clarity. The ones in Trade Fair,
yeah.
Are they new buildings that have recently come up, or buildings that were that came along with the Trade Fair plan itself?
About over 80% of them are new buildings. And what has happened was that our officers were prevented from going there. But I took it upon myself that we must get there. And we went there. And we served them. Some of them have responded by coming forward with the approval. And unfortunately, we saw on the approval, Development Unit Trade Center stamp, giving authority for approval. That is completely absurd.
Well, is it a coincidence, pardon me, Bukola, that majority of people who have spoken up, particularly on social media, and we've seen videos of people that have been put up, a lot of them pleading, saying that they got very little time to even move out of these houses. Is it a coincidence that these people are from the southeast? Is that a coincidence? And you didn't tell us about data. What data do you have, perhaps to disprove all of these allegations that are out there?
Like I've said, we've combed the whole area. You have instances where somebody put in application for, let's say, 6 blocks in an estate. And beside the plot, you have the drainage canal, in which case they will reclaim by way of expanding the land and put additional 2 units. So when we go there, we demolish those 2 built blocks. It's not what is approved. So such a person cannot come forward and say, we are demolishing an approved building. No, because you have in the estate 4 blocks and you've built 6. We will not go and demolish any approved building. That's for sure. So if anybody has a claim that their building was approved and they demolished, let them come forward. Yeah. And you can see the one that happened in Okota area, which is exactly what I've just explained now. People deliberately building on the canalway, taking advantage of that COVID period. And what happened then was that, I think a couple of days to that time before the commissioner went there, there was heavy downpour. So the other people at the other side were complaining of flooding. So when the commissioner got there and we started those demolition, and as they are demolishing, they are throwing the canal part, and the water was immediately flowing, and the other people there were happy and clapping that, thank God, our problems are eventually solved, whereas these other people are in pain. But the fact is clear that we must try and abide by the law. People should try and do the right thing. A lot of even along Banana Land, there's so many of them, people just, doing whatever they like by way of reclamation. We already have the extension where the edge, the land stops and you have the water. But because of people's greed, they will extend beyond that. We're not going to allow that.
But in abiding by the law, Honorable Commissioner, is the ministry itself abiding by the law? Because it appears as if the government is reactive, waiting up until these buildings have been erected up until completion stage before it moves into action and demolishes those that have not abided by the regulations provided by the building approved plan.
No, that's not completely true.
It's not completely true that the structures being demolished right now.
No. What I'm trying what you're asking is what we are doing to allow those buildings to have gotten to that stage. That's the question, if I'm clear. Now, the issue, like I said, majority of those ones being demolished now were rushed during that COVID period. And again, we cannot rule out we have some compromise by some officers within the ministry. But I can tell you very clearly that in Lagos State, there is no building that will go on in Lagos State that our officers will not be there. And we have 3 bodies, agencies that goes out for that. We have the LASPA, which is responsible for building permit. We have the LASG, which is responsible for building control. And we have the material testing, which is responsible for the quality. They all go out. And when they see those buildings at infancy stage, they are marked. And they're expected to come back to the office and do the necessary things. But over 90% of them will not come back. They will be working secretly. Some will work over the weekends and see the building through. And we cannot
Do you even have the personnel for that? There are thousands of structures that are going on in Lagos every day. Do you have the personnel for the monitoring and ensuring of compliance?
That's what I've just said. We have the manpower for. There's no building, take it from me again, there's no building that will be erected in Lagos that our officers will not be aware of. There's none. Where we have a bit of deficiency, it's in control, in which case we now have a program which we are going to roll out very soon, which is called CAP, Certified Accredited Professionals. This will enable us to get certified professionals in the built environment to help us oversee the stage supervision. That is where we have a bit of deficiency. But in terms of granting approval, we are very okay in that.
So it will seem that you are agreeing that some of your officials have been culpable in this process. And it will be important to also put that out there and say, well, we found these ones culpable. This is the action we're taking. So it doesn't look like a witch hunt. But let's talk about the general state of Lagos State. Yes, a lot of people want to come to Lagos, but living, commuting in Lagos can be a hassle, and I know you know that. I mean, you're from Lagos Island, if I'm correct. So you understand how much of a headache it can be to stay in Lagos. People have asked, what is the master plan of Lagos? Is this the way we want to continue? Don't forget that rating by the Economist Intelligence Unit that Lagos is one of the worst 4 places to live, cities to live in the world. Major indictment. So what is the government doing? Because yes, demolitions are good if they are lawful, but then people look at Lagos and say, well, this is a major issue on our hands. What exactly is the government doing to sort this out?
Well, you recall that the total land mass area of Lagos is about 3,577 square kilometers, and that is fixed. Okay, if you want to allow for some little extension by way of reclamation, very few percentage, maybe 1 to 2%. That again put the challenge on us because that resources is limited. However, you have a population increase, you have an influx of people into the state. So definitely on the side of the government, there has to be a lot of effort in terms of urban regeneration, and that's why you have model plans, redeveloping areas, Alimosho, Koshofe, and areas like that, which we have to redevelop. For example, Lagos Island now is also under redevelopment plan. And again, people also, because of cultural attachment to land, I think we have to do away with that. You have a building or in a land area of, let's say, 600 square meter, being lay claim on by 4 people. If you divide that, we'll be talking about 150 square meter. What can you do in 150 square meter? It really doesn't make sense.
So are we too much in Lagos?
What we'll expect now from that area as an example is that pulling resources together, 5, 10, 6 families coming together so that you can come up with a meaningful development befitting the status of a city as a smart city as we call.
So are you saying the population is too much for Lagos as it is right now?
I wouldn't say that it's too much, but it's growing at a higher rate.
So is Lagos able to cater for the population that it has right now?
Yeah, we have.
Why does it seem? Why doesn't it seem so? And I ask this again because you go to other cities, you go to Abuja, and people say, well, there's a marked difference. Again, you can talk about the land, but planning is a major thing, and ensuring enforcement. Someone just brought to my notice the rail line along LASG, the fact that people are building shanties along the rail lines. I mean, we see open defecation. You probably were driving to this place. You may have seen that in the media and just right in the middle of the road. And this points to the fact that just maybe Lagos is not able to cater to its population.
I don't think so. Like they used to say, the reward of good work is more work. I hope I'm correct. Now, what is happening over time is that people have come to realize that Lagos is actually developing and growing very fast, and people want to take advantage of that. And don't forget, we're all in one country, Nigeria. Now, if you want to move, you go to the toll gate, Lagos Ibadan toll gate, you go to the Abeokuta axis, see the influx of people on a daily basis. If somebody wants to come in from Makurdi to Lagos, you don't need a visa. People are living in Ogun State that they come into Lagos on a daily basis. So it's open to everybody and we cannot do anything regarding that. However, again, when we talk of enumeration in terms of population and we want to capture, because before you do any planning, you need a guidance regarding the population. And when it's population time, everybody runs back to their state. Now, if you want to plan that, it will not make sense. Because you need all this data. For example, you are planning a rail station. You are planning garages for buses. You need an idea of the correct population to be able to determine the kind of structure you will put. In Lagos State, we are really trying you can see the level of infrastructure that the government is embarking upon. Every area in Lagos State, as I'm speaking now, is under one form of infrastructure or the other.
And that's an important question, for the Lagos State government to reflect on, in line with this demolition, what the ultimate master plan would look like, such that it can accommodate everyone. Okay. There's more to pursue on that one, but we'll have to go to Abuja now for a live presentation on a budget presentation. I believe Chamberlain has more details on that.
All right, thank you very much indeed, guys. So Terry is on standby. He joins us live from the National Assembly, where there will be the live budget presentation today. So Terry, could you talk to us about what's happening at the moment?
Hello, Chamberlain. Good morning. Yes, so we're at the House of Representatives. This is where both chambers will converge to receive the 2024 appropriation bill by the President in a couple of hours. We understand that the President will be presenting a 27.5 trillion naira budget here today, which is 7 trillion naira more than what was presented in 2022 by the former President Buhari. And the concern now is what capital expenditure we will expect to see in that budget. And I think one more interesting thing about this budget presentation is that it's coming way later than the past two budget presentations. In 2021 and 2022, the budgets were presented on the 7th of October, and this is the end of November. And the concerns with regard to whether or not the National Assembly, this 10th National Assembly, plans to maintain that January to December budget cycle, which was started by the 9th Assembly, continue to rise. And the reason is that lawmakers have less than a month to put together the budget defense process, and then the President assents into it before the 31st of December. Not to mention that, give and take, the National Assembly will be vacating sometime around the 20-something of December. And I think some other concerns with regard to this budget, which would be interesting to know, is anticipated revenue and the extent to which it will be achieved, not to mention the implementation of the budget. Recall that the President has so far sent about two supplementary budgets and one for the FCT, if I recall correctly, to the National Assembly already. So this budget process is very interesting, and the Senate President will lead senators into the chamber at a moment now for the budget presentation. And I must tell you that lawmakers are hearing their numbers already, especially members of the House of Representatives.
Very interesting. So definitely we will bring in the people live coverage of that budget presentation by the President, and yourself and our correspondents there. Well done, and we expect to get a lot more from you. So there you go, Terry Kumi, our National Assembly correspondent. So you have to keep it locked here at Channels. But I guess that is it today with the show. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Thank you. I'm Maupelgun Yusuf.
I'd like to thank our guest, the Honorable Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development in Lagos State, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, for your time. We'll, of course, be following you, see what happens with those rail lines and other issues. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's been the show. I'm Kaido Kikilu here in Lagos.
Thank you for watching. I'm Bukola Koka. Bye for now.